Sometime within the next minute or so, somewhere on the planet, another big idea is being born. It might be a new song, a new product, who knows? And who knows how to make this idea grow and introduce it to the world? Let's find out. Welcome to The Next Big Idea with your host, Peter Gantner. The program is sponsored by kulaBrands, dedicated to help with branding, funding, and marketing the next big idea. And if that idea is yours, you want to pay particular attention to the particulars. Peter and his co-hosts and guests will explain just how it's done. If you happen to be an investor or just an interested party, you could benefit from the efforts of kulaBrands. You could become a part of their community of folks who want to help others and make money in the process. If that sparks your curiosity or wets your whistle, sit up and take notice. kulaBrands presents Peter Gantner and his guests on The Next Big Idea.
Hey everyone, welcome to The Next Big Idea radio show. My name is Deborah Caswell and I'm stepping in for Peter Gantner today. I'd like to bring to you three amazing gentlemen who we had the opportunity to spend a virtual lunch with. Donte Palmer of Squat for Change, Mike Dorsey of Black Fathers Now, and James Lopez of Fatherhood is Lit. They all joined us to discuss pandemic life, and so let's listen in.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you everybody for waiting while we deal with a little bit of tech issues. You know, this is the part of the game where we have no control. Everybody's using Zoom, and sometimes it messes up, sometimes it works perfectly, but we'll make it work, right, guys? So thank you everybody for joining us. So today we wanted to have a virtual luncheon, as Donte once called it. It's our quarantine restaurante. So we can't get you wine, we can't get you the fish of the day. Even though I see Corey over there somewhere really nice, he's probably going spearfishing or something. But we can have a good conversation, and that's what we wanted to have. We wanted to group some of the adults together and just have lunch together. You know, everybody's home dealing with work at home, working with kids. I, for one, I just said it earlier, I'm tired of arguing with my kids over which character is the best Paw Patrol character. So it's good to have some adults on the line. So thank you once again, guys, for coming. Thank you very much. Yeah,
absolutely. Happy to be here.
Hey, it's happy hour somewhere, right? Right, Brock? It's always happy hour somewhere, so we're good. So this lunch is brought to you by 4 organizations, all from different places of the country, all from different walks of life, all coming together to provide value to our community. That's what we're about. Thank you for kulaBrands for hosting us. It's their Zoom. It's their tech support. We're using them as our de facto tech support today, even though all of us are techies at heart right now. So thank you, kulaBrands, for doing this. We have my friend Donte from Squat for Change. We have my friend Mike Dorsey from Black Fathers Now, and myself. My name is James Lopez, and I run an organization called Fatherhood is Lit. So once again, thank you. Thank you guys for being here. So let's begin. Donte, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, man? Let's start these introductions.
Most definitely. Well, I guess a lot of you guys know who I am. Donte Palmer, founder, CEO of Squat for Change. But that's not who I am in this present moment. And I say that because we are all going through a pandemic. And I think, at times we are getting pulled left and right. We have some joys. We have, some hardships. So I was sitting here with my wife. I said, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity to bring people together, just to talk, get away from the world for just 1 hour and just learn and build and just find some peace, that silver lining. So at the end of the day, I'm a husband, a father, and I just like to connect and build people, and that's why I'm here. So that's who I am. So
thank you for coming, Donte, and thanks for setting this up. When Donte reached out to me, he said, James, let's do something cool. Let's do something for lunch. A lot of us are stuck watching TV or watching our kids during lunch. Let's just change it a little bit. So thank you for the suggestion, and thank you for making this happen. For real.
Most definitely.
And now my friend Mike Dorsey from Tennessee. How you doing, man?
What's going on, everybody? So happy to be here. I'm Mike Dorsey. First and foremost, I'm a husband and a father of 2 little munchkins, and we're getting very much closer in the moments with this, social distancing and all of that. But it's a good thing, right? We're leaning into it. We're making the most of our time together and growing, developing, and becoming the best versions of ourselves, whether we want to or not. So, but no, we're making the most of this time. We're having a good time. I'm the creator of Black Fathers Now. It's a podcasting platform that's really, focused on highlighting the experience of fatherhood, specifically from the African-American male perspective. And so it's really a cool scenario, cool platform, interview guys from all over the world. And we're all about, helping to reshape the narrative, but then also helping to open up the window into the experience of fatherhood from our perspective. So happy to be here. Looking forward to chopping it up with everybody.
Yeah, as you can see, most of us are from the business world. So we're all trying to survive this pandemic from home with our family and just moving forward. I would like to say a special thank you to kulaBrands once again. Deb, do you want to say something about kulaBrands?
So my name is Deborah Caswell, and I'm on corporate staff with kulaBrands. We've been around for about just over 4 years, and we help build brands. So inventors, artists, they come to us, and we launch them through crowdfunding. And then we support them through brand awareness, through dancing on their timelines and on their fan pages. And so they have this whole community of support coming into it with their company. And we just love what we do. And most of all, we love connecting. So we've been doing this since the pandemic, since they started locking everyone down. We've been going live in our community 3 times a day, just checking in with people, because we know some of our members are home alone during this crisis, and we just want them to know that we're always here for them. So we really enjoy these Zoom connections. So it's fun to see you all on today.
Yeah, I think this is pretty cool, especially like your background. Like your background, I know you told us that's a blue screen, but I wish I was there. I mean, a green screen, but I wish I was there right now.
Absolutely.
we know where we're going once this pandemic is over, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'll go today was to help each other out, provide a sounding board or a shoulder to cry on or to lean on. So anything that you guys want to talk about or say, please put it in the chat room, and we'll do our best to grab some of those comments and bring them up to the forefront. Besides that, any other tips that you might have, please put them there also. So let's begin. I want to ask my panelists, before this pandemic really started to show its face, how serious did you take it? Because I know for me, I wasn't really taking it serious at all.
I mean, go ahead, Donte. Go ahead. Okay.
No, go ahead, Mike.
I mean, I was going to say, honestly, I mean, we took it somewhat seriously, but it really didn't hit home, right? I mean, honestly, I'll be completely transparent. We were sharing memes and all of that back and forth, with the Heineken versus the Corona bottles and things of that sort, because we were like, oh, this is kind of a joke, right? We really didn't take it seriously until things started to become real and you really started looking at numbers. And honestly, I mean, around in my neighborhood, I live in Knoxville, Tennessee. I mean, most folks around here really did not take it seriously until they said that spring break was going to be extended. Then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, hold up. So prior to that, honestly, it was kind of like, okay, this is just another flu epidemic. This is just another something that's going around. So from our perspective, honestly, we really did not take it as seriously as we needed to until they started canceling things.
Yeah, I think, and I live in Florida, so I think that says a lot. I don't think Florida takes anything serious. We just headed to the beach, you know what I mean? So I think initially, for my family, because at the end of the day, I have to look at this lens as a father. So when you say any virus is going out or this pandemic, I have those eyes of a dad. So I pull my family in and say, okay, even though I don't know if it's true or not, I still would have to take the necessary precautions to protect my baby. So we took it, I'll say, semi-serious. Until we started seeing my wife, she works for Teach for America, and she's giving me a lot of updates about school closings and this establishment is closing, the beach is closing down. So that's when we were like, wow, this is really getting serious. But the one thing we don't do is watch the media. We turn the news off, and because you get so many mixed reviews about certain things, you don't know what to believe. So we just kind of stand back and kind of see how it kind of plays out, and we just take our measures and keep our family safe inside home. So
yeah, I see I'm sorry, I see that Nicholas wrote that it really made it real once he saw the news coming out of New York. Did any of you guys outside of New York feel the same thing? Like, did it become real after New York became like the epicenter? Deb or anybody?
Definitely. First of all, congratulations, dads, and happy that you are all here. I just want to introduce myself. I'm Julieta. I'm a member of kulaBrands. I'm an inventor of baby products, And the way we met Donte, actually, I met Donte and wife over a year ago, but because I was intrigued by his campaign. And since my my product is related to what Donte was doing, right away I reached out to him. But at that time, he had this viral video. You couldn't even friend him, you know? I ended up friending
You
him.
couldn't friend him. He was too
He
cool.
was so popular, you know, the man of the hour. So actually at that time, I was friends with your wife, Donte, not
Yeah.
you. But I kept up with what you were doing. And then when Carmen decided to involve herself, I think because you were kind of close where you live, she was one of the people that attended your conference. It was a dad's conference, I believe. And so I figure, wow, now we have a chance to get connected with Donte and his mission. And that's how we ended up communicating. Donte and I started talking to each other, and I ended up introducing him to Corey and to kulaBrands, and he became one of our supported guys, okay, our inventors of kulaBrands. Now, we don't only support inventors, we also support movement such as Donte. I am so passionate about Donte and what his mission is all about. But I changed the subject. You were saying
It's okay. It's okay. It is okay. That's what lunch is. That's what happens at a lunch, right? That's what happens at a lunch.
You're tuned in to Better Living Radio, streaming worldwide across the internet, and you're listening to entrepreneur and thought processor Peter Gantner on the next big idea. Stay tuned. Peter will be right back.
A health threat anywhere is a health threat everywhere. I'm Dr. Phil. A new coronavirus outbreak called COVID-19 started in China and is spreading to many countries, including the U.S. It's critical to get the facts about how to protect our friends and loved ones. While CDC is working with states and communities to stop the spread of the virus, health workers and emergency response efforts need our support. The CDC Foundation, a nonprofit organization, is focusing on immediate and critical needs that help protect our communities here at home and those around the world. We can all play a role in stopping this deadly virus. Get updates, learn how to protect your friends and family, and find out how to help. Go to cdcfoundation.org. That's cdcfoundation.org. Together, our impact is greater.
This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the CDC Foundation.
Better Living Radio is on the air, and yes, it's everywhere around the world. Are you wondering, hey, what's the big idea? Well, funny you should ask. Our show is called The Next Big Idea with Peter Gantner. In fact, we're back with more on Better Living Radio.
Welcome back to the show. Once again, this is Deborah Caswell sitting in for Peter Gantner. And in this segment, we're going to hear some thought on when reality set in on this pandemic. Let's listen in.
So it was okay. I was asking people if the news out of New York City changed perception on the virus and the pandemic as a whole. It's very, very serious. And,
Absolutely.
And something that Lyle from the community just wrote was that he actually felt the impact or knew it was real once his school was closed down because he's a teacher. Did anybody else get that phone call from the school saying, hey, you know what, this is a real thing, we're going to close school? And did that make it real? Because for me, I actually had somebody contact me for the post, and they wanted to interview me about the virus and schooling. And they asked me very specifically, would I be upset if my kids were held accountable if I pulled them from school without the mayor pulling them? And I remember telling the post, I honestly don't care about their grades. What I care about is their safety.
Yes.
So I pulled them out 2 days before the mayor shut down the schools.
Wow, you did that?
Yeah, and I had to. I had to because I rather deal with them nice and healthy arguing about Paw Patrol than deal with the hospitals.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
So when did it hit you, Mike? Like how did you get that first thought of, damn, this is really here?
Man, I'm gonna tell you, it was a couple of different points. First, my wife is in education, so she's a literacy coach, within an elementary school. And so when they started talking behind the scenes about what was about to happen, and then all of a sudden we got the system-wide call that said spring break will be extended for at least a week after spring break. So when the news came, it was the Friday before spring break for us. And so that basically they went to spring break early, and then they were going to extend it. And then that extension continued, and then it continued to continue as the governor started, pushing more mandates or whatnot. And so for us, we got that. But I'll tell you on a personal level, when it really got real, and this actually happened right before they called schools here, it was when the NBA said they were suspending the season. I was like, look, if they're willing to forego the billions upon billions of dollars and say because the NBA canceled before the NCAA tournament canceled, they were like the first ones. So the moment that the NBA stopped, I was like, this blankety blank is real. Like it really hit the fan there. And I always think about the actions are reflective of something that everyone's not necessarily seeing. And so at that point, all the news hadn't come out, but yet I knew somebody behind the scenes was talking, and they knew that there was some real deal coming. So to me, the NBA canceling was that straw that broke the camel's back that said stuff's about to change for real.
Right. Yeah, man. Once all the sports left, it was like, oh man, no more TV, and this is real.
That's it.
What about you, Donte?
I have to say the same thing. So with schooling, like I said, my wife is the executive director of Teach America. So she talks to she has to really be like a politician here in Jacksonville when it comes to education. So she talks with the school board. She talks with the superintendent. So we were getting a lot of information before it was released to the public. So we already knew that it was coming. We just didn't know how severe it was. They extended spring break for a week. Okay, cool. I have the kids for an extra week. We got to figure it out. Then it landed upon a month. And I said, all right, cool. Maybe, it's a virus. Give it a month. But then when he suspend school indefinitely, we're like, whoa, this is insane. Like, what aren't they telling us? And that's where I think my wife and I kind of like, we're not living in fear. We're just living slow to live. That makes sense. We have to really move slow, just because we don't know what's not being told. You know what I mean? For schools to be closed until September or September 6th, whatever that date is. And my job got canceled for the next 3 months. So I'm working from home for the next 3 months. And it's like, okay, why are we so quarantined and what's going on? So it's serious. But like these lunches and this connection, it makes me, in the last 27 minutes, it gives me life. You know what I mean? Like there are people out there who are going the same stuff as me, and we have connections and bonding. And when this pandemic ends, I'm comfortable with that. I've introduced James to Deb, and Brock knows, Julietta. These are the connections that means the most to me. Even in a time of hardship like this, we'll come out gold. So.
Yeah, I agree. Deb, I know you deal a lot with a lot of creatives, entrepreneurs. When did it get real for you?
It was interesting. It got real for me when I was saying on these calls that we do, I was saying, man, I just hope they don't close the schools, because man, when they close the schools, I was kind of kidding. Thinking about, I work from home, and now I'm going to be expected to be a homeschool mom as well. And so I was kind of kidding, but in the grand scheme of things, that really frightened me. And now I understand why. But then when they came back on just a few days ago and said, our spring break isn't until next week. And they said, we're now putting in place distance learning for the week after spring break. It's like, oh man, this is really, really real. And my husband, I just want to say real quick, he's a first responder. So he's a fireman. So he's out still.
Wow.
But it wasn't real to him until Tom Hanks came on and said that he had the virus. Then he was like, whoa, Tom Hanks has it? Anybody can get this, right? It was the Tom Hanks factor, I think, affected a lot of people.
I think it's crazy how all of us have different ways of accepting that it became real, right? Like you mentioned Tom Hanks, like Mike mentioned the sports, I mentioned the school and the interview. And I really want to know how a teacher dealt with this, because it's like, this is a twilight zone. Like Nick said in the chat, it feels like we're living in the twilight zone where we're just trying to figure things out to just move along with our lives. So I just want to ask a guy here, his name is Lyle. He's a teacher in New York City. When did it get real for you, Lau?
Awesome.
I mean, just the schools not being closed when it should have been a long time before. It was crazy to me, but it became real when there was that Thursday, the week before they closed the schools, and second period, I'm with my 5th grade class, and the announcement comes on the loudspeaker, we're closing down all the floors, everybody stay in your classrooms. Do not leave your classrooms. And that went on for 4 periods. They told nobody to leave their classrooms. These kids know about the corona. They're sitting there petrified. Look, thank God for like Disney Plus. I put on Disney Plus. I hooked up my computer. We watched a few movies. But these kids knew. They were petrified because that whole week they're sitting there wiping down doorknobs with wipes. They're wiping down their tables. And the schools, they say they're cleaning. They were not cleaning. There was one guy with a spray bottle cleaning door handles. So as much as the mayor would say it and everybody would say they're cleaning, they were not cleaning because these schools were filthy.
And I think, I'm sorry, that's really scary.
The lunchrooms were overcrowded. It was disgusting. My wife has an immune system. Once that Thursday happened, I didn't come in the next day because my wife has health issues. I don't want to bring it home. And then the following Monday, the mayor finally closed it because on Twitter and on the internet, teachers were threatening to not come in. And the UFC wasn't backing us up. And people don't want to say it, but the real reason we got thrown under the bus by the healthcare workers union because they said, if you close schools, we have nobody to watch our kids. And they went to the mayor and they threw us under the bus. And he could have closed it 2 weeks before like he should have, but he didn't because that union went to him behind our union's back. And that's the real reason. And nobody wants to talk about it. And then when that union says it's okay to close schools, if you look in the news, that's when they finally closed it. That Sunday was because their union said you should close the schools.
Yeah.
So everything comes to politics over people. And, this became even really more real. I started teaching in 1999, and I just found out 2 days ago that one of my first students from that class in 1999, he's 34 years old, or was 34, he passed away from coronavirus.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that, man.
And that leads us to another topic. Like, imagine once it really hits home.
Yeah,
right?
he passed away. He has 2 kids, and you're going to be seeing friends of friends. A friend of mine, his father passed away from it. And now it's becoming real because you're seeing people on Facebook that you grew up with. And their parents are going. And somebody else, both of his grandparents passed away from it. And it's just becoming tragic, and we're weeks behind already.
Well, Nicholas actually went into the chat room and he said that it's hard for people with anxiety, right? And I think it's hard for anybody.
Yes.
So I would love to ask the panelists, and thank you, Deb, for helping us with the people in the green room. How are you guys dealing with anxiety? Like, how are you guys dealing with knowing that, hey, I have to deal with things that I've never had to deal with, and how do you get through it? Like, how have you guys been doing it?
Family.
Man. Yes.
Family. If it wasn't for my wife and my boys just being healthy, but family. Jack Daniels is also a friend of mine. It's just one of those things we just have to we just talk. You know what I mean? What can we talk about outside of the pandemic to keep us sane? You know what I mean? And it helps with anxiety. And fully transparent. No one will notice. I'm a global advocate for Squad for Change. At 33 years old, I still visit my therapist. Well, not now because we can't, but for anxiety. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. These things like this frighten me. So what do I do in these moments? I've been writing a lot. I started trying to start exercising lately and just start creating more video content with my boys. That's what keeps me calm. So that's what I do in moments like this.
Yeah. We'll be right back with the next big idea.
So are you wondering where the next big idea will come from? Well, you'll hear about it first here at Better Living Radio. See, this is the show called The Next Big Idea. Maybe you got the next big idea, or maybe you just like to make some money from it. Peter Gantner will explain when we come back on Better Living Radio. Each week in his live video market and economy update offered to his inner circle, Dan Frischberg delivers the in-depth, professional version of his famous market x-ray report, live and interactive. Now that means you get to ask all the questions you want. And if you can't make the live meeting, you can watch the report on demand. Then email your questions in and Dan will email the answers back or include them in the next live report. Week in and week out, Dan brings you the ideas and specific stock picks from his friends, the people you see on TV and read about in the papers. You'll see what they're buying, how they're hedging, and when they're taking money off the table. At last, you'll get to see how the insiders negotiate the institutional macro bonds that billionaires on Wall Street rely on, the ones almost everyone else never even heard of. When you become an Inner Circle member, Dan will share with you his lifetime of experience and guide you to the best teachers, the best stock pickers, the best option strategists. And you'll be invited to exclusive working vacations in beautiful locations for the Inner Circle only, where you'll rub elbows with some of the most famous investors on Wall Street. So, how do you value the lifetime of skill and experience of a top investor on a mission to share it all with you and help you become one of the few winners? If you've been listening to Dan for a few years, he's likely already made you tons of money, or even more important, saved you from losing a fortune. Now, there are limits to the capacity of the online video sessions, but right now, for a limited time, Dan's offering you the position of charter subscriber, get this, for less than the price of a cup of coffee a day. For all the info or to subscribe, just simply click on themoneyman.com. Themoneyman.com. Welcome back to Better Living Radio and this amazing idea for a radio show. It's called The Next Big Idea. Rather ironic, wouldn't you say? Hey, if you've got an idea, you might want to talk with host Peter Gantner or one of his guests here at Better Living Radio. Oh, look, here they come now.
Deborah Caswell back for Peter Gantner, and we are back on this quarantine restaurante virtual luncheon. Let's listen in.
What about you, Mike? What are you doing for the anxiety?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. It's really spending time with yourself, right? So being by yourself and spending time with yourself are two different things, right? So spending time with yourself is really identifying who you are and really just kind of leaning into the challenges, because this is actually a time in which we have the opportunity to take the time to understand, what's good, what's bad, and all of that with ourselves. And by doing that is going to make us better on the back end. But for me, on a personal level, is really not necessarily running from things, but it's kind of leaning into it. So when I am anxious, I now have the time to ask myself, why am I anxious? Why am I frustrated? And what's interesting about that is when I lean into that and I actually take action on something. So if I'm anxious about, I'm doing something and then the kids want to do something and I'm thinking about why am I getting anxious about it? If I take a step back and think about why at that moment, that then gives me the impetus to really think about it a little bit differently. And so I can put down what I'm doing on the computer and spend time with my kids, because truthfully, that's not something that I would have time to do in any other instance. So to me, I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive and it's challenging, but for me, it's actually leaning into the anxiety, leaning into the discomfort, because the more you lean into it, the more it becomes normal to you and you deal with it a lot better. And so that's just how I deal with it. I have to face it, because if I don't, I bury things on a personal level. I bury things, and then something that's seemingly insignificant ends up being the straw that breaks the camel's back. So for me, I have to lean into stuff and deal with it, or else ... And so for me, I'm just leaning into it and, trying to make the most of every situation.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. Like, taking the time to know yourself, like know your limitations, and then also understand like how to operate. Like for me, I operate in the hour sprints. Like I like to have an hour to get work done, 2 hours to get work done. Trying to fit in 15 minutes between my work and my kids' homework or classwork is impossible, and it will drive me insane. And I had to learn that the first week. So it was tough. I would love to hear from Deb. Deb, how are you dealing with anxiety?
Well, right here. This is,
Wait, I need to see that a little bit closer.
no, it's been tough. The biggest anxiety for me is my daughter who's 11. She has Down syndrome, and so she's also got a compromised immune system. And while I'm able to stay home with my kiddos, my husband is not. He's a first responder, so he's out every couple of days. He comes home for 48, and then he's gone 48, 72, whatever. And so it's with him coming and going. Now, the nice part about that is since he's already out, he is the hunter and gatherer. So he's bringing in all the supplies that we need and the food and taking care of his family like I've never seen him take care of things before. So that's been one bright thing that's come out of it, is just to see how much of an amazing father and husband he can be. That's been pretty awesome.
That's awesome to hear. The main reason we wanted to do something like this was to provide support, support for each other, right? And you just mentioned something really good, which is you found something positive in that, right?
Yes.
And you found that your husband was more than a superhero to your child, right? So that he was more than a superhero to your neighborhood. He was a superhero to everybody, right? So thank you to your husband, for real. I would love to ask you guys, same thing. What's that silver lining for you? I guess we'll start with Mike. Like, what's that silver lining right now?
Like, honestly, man, from a silver lining perspective, the way that I look at this is, necessity breeds innovation, right? And if we were given and I also heard a quote not long ago, and it says, opportunities and problems never set appointments. And so when you stop and you think about it from that perspective, this is an opportunity or a problem, depending on how you're reframing and looking at it. But it also creates some type of necessity, meaning we have to spend more time with our family. We have to not go to places. What I'm also learning is the fact that, the overwhelming majority of our time outside of work and outside of, the necessity, things that are deemed necessities for life, a lot of the time that we spend, we're wasting it on things that really don't matter. But now those things have been removed because a lot of these venues are closed and a lot of these opportunities are no longer available. So for me, it's helped me to kind of reframe where I'm spending my time, where we're spending our money, and what we're doing. And we come to realize that a lot of our time and a lot of our money is spent on things that really don't push the needle in regards to our well-being, or in regards to our relationships, or in regards to us becoming the best versions of ourselves. So I think this time frame, number one, obviously, is stay healthy, follow all the directives, and, practice social distancing. But as we come out of this, I really think we should have a new perspective on what really matters in life, and really making sure that we spend our time and our resources with the folks that matter, one, but then also doing the things that actually matter that allow us to be the best versions of ourselves moving forward.
Yeah, I like it. I love it. Donte, what about you?
The silver lining is, man, we just pulled off a $100,000 conference on a Zoom platform. Does that make sense? Like, if we was to invite all of us to a conference, this would be $100,000 plus.
Absolutely.
Like Mike said, we have to learn how to start slowing down sometimes our busy lives and just start connecting more. You know what I mean? I tell my wife all the time, sometimes I wish the internet shut down, because it'll make us connect that much more. Just to have that opportunity to talk and engage even with your neighbors. In the last 2 weeks, we are practicing social distancing to the best of our abilities, but we are learning new neighbors in our own community. And it's just an opportunity just to build and grow. I'm a person who just likes to grow and build with people. 1 second, Isaiah, Braden, and Mario, come here. Come here, hurry up. So I have my wife is in education, and we took the responsibility on ourselves just to teach some of my neighbors' kids, because their parents need so much help with tutoring. So these are my students. There we go. And
hello.
Hello, guys. Go do your work now. Go back.
Did they help you? Did they help you with that great lunch, or was that all your wife?
That's all my wife. So we just are taking the time to help our community, because they're not teachers. They don't know how to homeschool. They need the help. So with my wife's experience, with my experience in teaching, we just using our expertise just to help the community, and that's what we're doing right now. So I'm excited. So
well, you said an important thing. The silver lining is now you get to show your neighbors, or actually get to know your neighbors, but then you actually get to show them that you could be helpful. Because I know I live in New York City. I live in New York City. I live in a building with maybe 100 residents. I could tell you I know maybe 5 of them really well. After this pandemic, I'm pretty sure I'll know everybody in the building because now we're passing each other notes. You know, under the door, I can go to my door and I'll find an envelope with I saw you yesterday outside. Don't do that. So it's pretty cool. I want to ask Tina. Tina's here. Let's see if she's willing to talk to us. Deb, can you unmute Tina Marie for us? Hi, Tina. I wanted to ask you, like you said, you mentioned in the chats about actually getting to know your neighbors. Like, how is that working out? Is that your silver lining for all of this? One of them?
Yeah, that's one of them. Yeah. We live in the country, so our neighbors are kind of walking dog and seeing people out in their yards and, not really knowing them before this and reaching out and saying good morning or saying hello and just yelling across the yard, hey, I live right down here. If you need anything, come knock on my door type of thing, and I'm not the only one that's doing that. A lot of our neighbors are more engaged with the little small communities now and looking out for each other and stopping in the road when you see somebody walking down the road. Are you okay? Do you need anything? That wasn't even something that was done before. You just drove right on past, but now it just seems like we're all becoming closer to having in common with each other other than just this pandemic, because we're all going through it, but it doesn't mean that we're all dealing with it the same.
It's crazy you said that, because I think before the pandemic, we would all walk past each other and see each other needing help. And we might be afraid to suggest help, right? Where we're looking at people and we're saying, well, if I help them, will they rob me, or will they look at me and tell me, get away from me, I don't need any help? Now you don't even think about it. Now you see somebody in need and it's like, hey, I got you. I got your back. Like, it's okay. Wow. And everybody's more accepting now. Like, we're accepting of each other, accepting of help. And I guess for me, that's the silver lining, because I live in Staten Island, and, I'm not the usual face in my building, but everybody here is still treating me with respect and helping me out and helping my kids. So I think it's a beautiful thing to do. Beautiful thing. Let's see. Let's go back to Deb. Deb, I want to hear more of your silver linings, because you've been working with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of creatives. What's some of the things you've been hearing from them?
I think everybody's just coming together and reaching out to each other and seeing what they need. We've got 3 different products that are really starting to take off. One of our inventors, his name is Trevor Brooks. When the pandemic came, he had an app called Home Safe First. And he could see how that app would actually be able to, if he could morph it just a bit, he could use it in a way that would get out and find where people might be showing symptoms and find not just the people, but the virus itself. So hone in finding the virus. So he's working with Amazon, so AWS, and some other folks and kulaBrands. And they've honed in and built this app that's phenomenal. They're testing it right now in St. Louis, and we hope to roll it out nationwide very, very soon, and then worldwide. And after this pandemic, this app will be able to be used well beyond in any emergency kind of situation that goes on anywhere in the world. So that's been a huge bright note.
So the innovation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You bet.
Yeah, because now we're forced to find different solutions. Like, none of us are, well, at least on my behalf, I'm not a chemist. I don't do the science stuff, so I can't find a cure. But I could code an app.
Absolutely.
So it's about, testing our knowledge now.
You're tuned in to Better Living Radio, streaming worldwide across the internet. And you're listening to entrepreneur and thought processor Peter Gantner on the next big idea. Stay tuned. Peter will be right back.
I was 35 when my life and addiction started to spiral out of control. My ex-husband threatened to take our children away from me. I felt hopeless. He called Elite Rehab Placement because I couldn't make the call. I was ashamed. I was given skills to manage my sadness and my anger, and more importantly, I'm 3.5 years sober. I'm so grateful for all their help, and all it took was making one phone call.
Elite Rehab can help you start to break your addiction problem and get sober in as little as 7 days. And we'll work with your insurance provider to help cover the costs. Plus, we have travel assistance programs to get you here by plane or train. Make this free call right now to learn more. 800-918-1376. 800-918-1376. 800-918-1376. That's 800-918-1376.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you can donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-639-8620. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It'll be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car. And as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now. Call 1-800-639-8620. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-639-8620. That's 1-800-639-8620.
Better Living Radio is on the air, and yes, it's everywhere around the world. Are you wondering, hey, what's the big idea? Oh, funny you should ask. Our show is called The Next Big Idea with Peter Gantner. In fact, we're back with more on Better Living Radio.
I was talking to everybody last night, a group of friends, and then I was talking to my panelists, Donte and Mike, and we were talking about some of the cool things that we want to do after the pandemic, right? So what are you guys looking forward to do? What are you looking forward to do in the future? Like, once this pandemic is over, what is that one huge thing that you have to do? Because I have to go to my barber. That's the first thing I have to do.
I think one thing we had to cancel a trip. My wife and I had our anniversary trip, either to Colombia or to Australia. We were looking for one of those countries to head off our second year anniversary. We had to cancel it, of course. So I think that's one of the biggest things for my wife and I, to take a trip by ourselves so we can grow together, away from the kids. I love my kids. Don't get me wrong, I love them, but they are a handful. I need my wife. I want to go away. I want to go away with her.
I agree with you. I love everybody knows I love my kids. I tell everybody, hey, fatherhood is lit, right? But they're lighting something under me, right?
Oh my God.
and I you know what? I'm gonna do a vacation with them first, but then after that, I'm leaving them with their grandparents, and I'm gone. Even if it's 2 days. So even if it's 2 days, I need my separation. I hope my wife isn't watching this from afar, but I might even leave her home too. Like, I might just leave 2 days by myself. And I'm sure she agrees with me. She probably wants to leave me for a day.
and that's when I log out, because I can't be a part of that.
Donte, you're a tough guy. You better stop acting like that. Mike, what about you? What about you, Mike? What are you doing first?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's two things. I'm literally 100% on board with the trip thing, man. The moment that we are cleared and ready to go, hopefully the plane flights and the tickets will still be kind of low, and we can take advantage and go somewhere, man. So we're looking to do something. That's one. But then two, honestly, just going and sitting in a restaurant. I ain't gonna lie to you. We don't eat out all the time, but the whole notion of being able to just go and sit down and eat in a restaurant, it's like little things like that, we took for granted. So I'm looking forward to the moment in which you can go to one of our favorite restaurants and just sit down, have a meal. And it's like, this is, I think we'll savor it a little bit more. So taking a trip, definitely. And then also just going and sitting down and having dinner and a glass of wine with the wife, somewhere.
Oh, you guys are making up for my comment about the wife, huh? I got you.
I got you, man. Look, I do not condone those comments that were mentioned. That was by James, and James alone. They do not reflect.
My thoughts are my own, people.
They are. Disclaimer.
Well, I can back up James just a little bit, because remember my superhero husband we were just talking about? He gets to leave for 2 days at a time, and I'm telling you, he said that all the guys, all the firemen that are on that shift, they come into the building and they just look at each other and they're like, oh my gosh, those kids, right? Doing their thing on their day off, right? And now they're with their wives and their kids, and it's not easy. So firemen, become a fireman. You get to Once a week.
get those 2 days away, right? Get those couple days away. I mean, I think this is why we wanted to have a conversation like this. We could we could start with the reality, right? We're in a crazy state right now. It's an unheard of state. None of us were ready for this. I mean, I didn't take it serious for a long time. Now I'm forced to take it serious. So it's good to actually meet up with different people from different walks of life and laugh about this. Like, we need the laughter. This is as serious as it gets. So it's time for us to actually sit back and actually appreciate that, hey, it's serious, but we're blessed enough to actually be experiencing it. Right?
Yes.
Where we get to do these things, where we get to learn off of YouTube. We get to learn about ourselves. We get to connect with people. You know, people like Mike, he might go back to the barbershop, even though he has a nice little shiny head up there. So it's cool to joke around with our friends now and just connect. Like, we need this. Like, we need that time to just laugh. Like, right now, my kids are in the room. I joked with them. I told them, hey, you know what? While I'm on Zoom, you guys could come jump in and joke with me. I'm so glad they stayed in the room. Like, the rules are off.
I have to say, this is really off topic, but Jeff Tepper has a nice beard.
Yes,
I want a beard like that so much. I want that so bad. I'm sorry.
We need to put the...
Hey, Deb, I got him. I unmuted him. Jeff is actually a friend of all of ours. He runs a dad's group in Dallas. Jeff, man, they're talking about your beard, man. Are you gonna cut that off when the pandemic is over, or are you just gonna grow it some more?
No, but speaking of barbers, I can't get I usually get a trim every 2 weeks, and I can't do that. So I'm not going to try to trim myself, because last time that didn't go well. So basically, when this thing ends, I'm going to be like the unfrozen caveman or something.
Well, you got a bomb beard, man. I love it.
You know, one thing I like that Jeff did was that he actually went online and he was still sending money. He was PayPaling, I think it was, or you were using like Venmo or something, and you were still paying or willing to pay your barber even though you couldn't get a haircut. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I offered my barber and my son's barber, who we both people are like, you know, when you go to someone for that many years, yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. But they both chose not to accept my offers. So, but I did reach out to both of them when this thing started and said, hey, you know, we're not going to be coming out as much, but I'd like to pay you as if we were still coming.
I love it. Let me just go to Lay real quick. Let's see. Is it Lay or Lee? Deb, can you unmute?
It's Lay, and you have host controls. She can unmute herself.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I got it. All right, it's Lay. Sorry for calling you Lee.
That's no problem. I'm used to it.
You said you're cutting your hair too? You're ready?
I'm about ready to. I haven't done it in about like 40 years for myself, but I'm there. It's driving me nuts.
Hey, you're gonna be like me then, because I even when I get a haircut, I still put on a hat. So now when I shave it all bald next week, nobody will know the difference.
I'll just revert to my hat. I have several.
Oh, man. What did you have for lunch today? Because I didn't have anything. You know, Mike took all the good food, and Donte took all the good food.
It's breakfast hour for me.
Shit.
What? Oh, so welcome to all the West people Coast, that are here with breakfast. The West Coast.
Right. That's right. That's right.
Thank you guys for coming. That is awesome. Well, guys, you know, it's almost time to wrap up. We got what, 7 more minutes left? I'm going to leave it up to the panelists now. Mike, any final words for you, man?
Man, honestly, first and foremost, thank you, kulaBrands, Fatherhood is Lit, Squat for Change, and everybody who's taken time to come on and kick it and just chop it up and just exhale a little bit, because, you know, a lot of love, I love it. I've never done the heart like that. I like that, man. That's pretty cool. I like that.
We're learning new things.
We're learning new things. Yes. So I want to say thank you to everybody who's taking time to come and just to kind of exhale, man, because we definitely need it. This gives us, you know, social distancing, but the reality is we're physically distant, but we can still be social, right? And so this, you know, we're blessed to have technology that affords us the opportunity to stay social, to see faces, to see body language, to feel like we're sitting in a room with folks, because right. This is needed, you know, because once this stuff is lifted and we're able to go and connect back with people, it's going to be like we didn't miss a beat because we're using the technology available. So thank you all for all of that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for connecting. And we're looking forward to doing more of this in the future.
I agree. Thank you for being here, Michael. Donte, do you have any final words? I know we're all going back to work soon.
Yeah, so we got 3 more minutes. So this is my plate. I trashed it. I tore it up. But I want to give a shout out to my guy Kurt. He sent me a message on the chat. He's been following my movement for a while now. I can say he's a great guy. You know what I mean? Kurt said, I just love the support. Support looks like this. You know what I mean? You don't have to send money. You don't have to scream to the loudest on the biggest mountain. By just showing up, it's support. So I have to give a final shout out to my guy Kurt. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for supporting Quarantine Restaurante. And we're here. Thank you, Donte. Let me get Deb real quick. Deb is our host, and I need her to give us some final words real quick. Deb, there you go. You're muted.
Okay, well, this has been a fabulous call. Thank you so much for putting this together. And I love the idea of doing another one next week or whenever you all have time. Because it was just great to hear your perspectives and hear what's going on in your worlds and everybody else's. So thank you for that. Yeah,
thank you. Thank you. Deb, thank you once again for allowing us to use your platform. For real. Because this is something that Donte, Mike, and myself wanted to do. We just didn't have access to the tech, and we were doing it through Instagram Live, Facebook Live, all of these different things. So to have this was great. You guys are silly. Well, people, once again, thank you so much for your time. I guess it's time for all of us to go back to work. Unfortunately, I've never been happy to say that before, but I'll take it. That's gonna work. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it so much.
Oh,
thank you so much, and thank you, kulaBrands, for hosting us. This was wonderful, and I look forward to do it again. Hopefully, we can do it again by next week.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Lots of fun. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
And I want to say a special thank you to Donte Palmer of Squat for Change, Mike Dorsey of Black Fathers Now, and James Lopez of Fatherhood is Lit. Please go out to their social media and give them a like and a follow and engage on some of their posts. And we'll see you back here on Monday morning for another episode of The Next Big Idea.
Did you ever imagine that these little inventions like radio and the internet, that there was a time when they were considered the next big idea? And yet, here you are today having just heard a program called The Next Big Idea. Peter Gantner is your host. He's one of the founders of kulaBrands, and they can help you whether you've got an idea of your own or you just want to get in on the ground floor of the next big thing. Peter and his co-hosts and guests are here weekdays on Better Living Radio to discuss the ins and outs of creating, manufacturing, branding, and marketing the best of the big ideas. Maybe you've got one, or maybe you want to be involved in one. You're definitely tuned into the right spot. So hear this. You can hear this program weekdays at the same time on Better Living Radio as kulaBrands presents Peter Gantner and the Next Big Idea. You may know David McLaughlin from his program here at Better Living Radio. A lot of people know him because he's helped them to get money for residential and commercial properties when they'd just about given up. Diamond Dave McLaughlin is a pro with a wealth of knowledge and a responsive attitude. Yeah, he's one of those guys who actually calls you back. In fact, the cornerstone of his business is built on great communication. David specializes in helping people with one of their most important dreams, financing a home, and enhancing the economic well-being of his customers one loan at a time. It doesn't have to be complicated. If you're looking for a pro to guide you through any kind of stress-free financing process, catch Dave's show. It's called Where to Get the Money. You can get all of Dave's contact info. In fact, the best place to find David McLaughlin is right there on the homepage at betterlivingradio.com. The next $1 million idea is being formed each and every day. How many of those ideas, brands, companies, or musicians will break into the market, let alone make it to the top? At kulaBrands, we work hand in hand with inventors and creative folks to boost their brands. From concept to products ready to take the world stage, kulaBrands provides entrepreneurs with funding, brand creation, gap sales, marketing, and more. Using a rewards-based royalty system, both kulaBrands and your company succeed. Where will I get the money? How do I reach a global customer base? How or where do I get my products manufactured? kulaBrands helps solve these challenges and helps your business on a path to success. kulaBrands, changing the way new ideas get to market, and yours could be next. Reach out to kulaBrands at kulaBrands.com. That's K-U-L-A, kulaBrands.com, or see the contact info on the homepage at betterlivingradio.com.